Did it work? Oh my gosh, that was so needlessly difficult. Oh my goodness. I literally feel like the old man. It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to connect this new camera. I hope it's not laggy. Man. This camera's intense, dude. You can see all my pores. Oh my gosh. Okay. No one's here. It's just me, myself, and I. It is a little laggy, but it's not bad. Sacrifice camera quality for lag. Guys, we did it. It only took me 11 minutes and 5 seconds to figure out how to actually hook up this new Camlink 4K HD. Oh my gosh. I literally feel so dumb and so old right now. This is tragic. All right. What's up, Bupe? Finally, I get to connect with my viewers on an individual level. This is it. This is what I live for on Saturdays. So welcome back if you guys are new and you've never seen me before. Yes, Chance, we did it. How's the quality? You guys like the quality? It's a little bit better than before. Audio and video, I hope it's up to your guys' standards. Got this new camera. I was like, I got to put it to use. I can't just keep using this poo-poo, MacBook Air camera. It's just unacceptable. I had this new technology. Great. Finally. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. It worked. We also need some lighting. Boom. There we go. Okay, guys. So what questions do you have? How can I help you today? What are we talking about? If you guys have any questions whatsoever, entrepreneurship, personal finance, college admissions, Yale, critical thinking, reading, writing, whatever you guys want to talk about, I am here at your service. If you guys don't have any questions, I guess I could tell some stories, give you a life update, an unsolicited, unasked for life update. What have I been up to? Obviously, I have been pooping out YouTube videos just left and right. There's a video, there's another video, here's a third video. And I've been seeing mixed results. I'm a little bit sad. My videos just aren't performing as well as I thought. And also my subscriber count has been the growth has slowed. First question, ZNM. What is the political atmosphere like at Yale? Fantastic question. Thank you so much for asking. Guys, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. I'm here just to answer whatever you want to know. What have I been up to apart from YouTube? We want to know. Okay, cool, great. I can definitely start here. Political atmosphere at Yale is incredibly liberal, right? Swarming with Democrats. There are quite a few conservatives on campus, but I feel like the conservatives on campus are kind of vilified. And it's kind of sad to hear that or see that. Even if you are a Trump supporter, even if your political viewpoints are opposed to my own, I don't think that people should just ostracize you and refuse to engage with you and just, not partake in discussions and vilify you and say you're a horrible human being. That is just not how we move forward and progress as a country. So Yale has often been described as something like a liberal echo chamber. I don't know if you guys have heard of that term before. It's exactly what it sounds like. Whoa, liberals, yay. We need social equality, social justice, and then someone else just echoes it back to you, and you feel like you guys are on the same page. It makes you feel great about yourself, inflate your ego, all that good stuff. Are you actually benefiting society? Are we progressing forward? I think it's actually more productive to have those tougher conversations and discuss your viewpoints with someone who doesn't necessarily agree with you. But that being said, I would say that it must be, if I had to guess, at least 75% liberal. Maybe even closer to 85, 95%. I don't know many conservatives on campus. It's really rare. And like I said, they're vilified. You write for or you're in the Yale, there's something called the YPU, the Yale Political Union. I don't know too much about it. I know there's some conservatives here and there lurking around. But when they write something and they really express an unpopular opinion, I think they're just crushed and silenced. And that is no good. And that just makes them not want to engage and talk. And, obviously, our country has been more and more divided and polarized, and I think this can actually be seen quite well at Yale. What have I been up to apart from YouTube? Yeah, one of my friends just asked me, Kevin, how much do you work? I spend about 12 to 15 hours tutoring, and then I spend about 2 to 4 hours on YouTube every single day. I'm making videos, I'm scripting, I'm editing, I'm trying to learn new things. And then I spend a little bit of time, whatchamacallit, I spent a little bit of time trading options and things like that. So this week was really, really good for the markets. I don't know if you guys have been following that, but markets performed super duper well. So that was exciting. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to these days. I'm preparing to go to Brazil. So I leave for Brazil on February 18th to see my girlfriend. I haven't seen her in 3 years. 3 years, people. It's been a while. Obviously, I miss her very badly. So can't wait to see her. And I'm going to Disney before I go to Brazil. So I'll be flying up to Orlando, hanging out with my sister. And then from Orlando to New York to Salvador. Actually, New York to Sao Paulo, which is really dumb because Sao Paulo is like the southeastern part of Brazil. Very, very down south. And then I have to fly up from southeastern Sao Paulo to northeastern Salvador, which is just unnecessarily complicated. Bupe, what are the names of your companies? I started a company in college called Home Cooked. No longer exists. Or actually, they pivoted. You can look it up. It's called Gather. Magic App. I think Gather, Magic App. Yeah, I no longer run it. So I'm not involved. I left that about at the end of my junior year, at the beginning of my senior year. So it was about a year and a half ago. And now the tutoring company that I run is just called ZenEd, Z-H-E-N, surprise, Kevin Zen, E-D. Thanks for answering my question. That's sad to hear. Are the student bodies of other top colleges also hostile to right-wing viewpoints? You know, in the Northeast, typically yes. So Brown, Columbia, Dartmouth, Penn, very liberal leaning. I think that you might find more of a conservative base in Southern colleges. Like my friend goes to Georgia Tech, lots of Trump supporters there, conservatives. You know, it's still, as much as I hate to admit it, it still kind of reminds me of politics from 100 years ago. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? We're getting a few more viewers trickling in, so that's good. But yeah, let me know what questions you guys have. I need to train myself. There's like multiple screens. I could look at my camera, or I could look at the computer, or I could look at the camera screen, which is up top over there. Yeah, other questions, guys, feel free to hit me. This is your opportunity to ask Yale student, Yale grad, whatever questions you might have. I'm literally an open book. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I will give it to you real as I can, authentically honest. Please ask me as many questions as you want. In the meantime, what should I talk about? Any stories that you have, Kevin? Oh yeah, don't forget to sauce this video a like if you guys are enjoying it. That really helps with the YouTube algorithm and all that good stuff. Oh, I should publicize that I am working on a Flash Fiction competition. If you guys have seen this new playlist, this new competition, Flash Fiction Friday. So you can compete using this link, bit.ly. I'm going to type it in the chat, bit.ly/Flash Fiction Friday Week 2, WK2. Flash Fiction Friday Week 2. I'm just really passionate about microfiction, flash fiction, and I think this is a good way. There's like literally cash prizes. And since it's the second week that I'm hosting it, it's really easy to win because there's not a lot of people competing, frankly. Okay, are you an undergraduate student and what year? I just graduated from Yale this past May. So I was Yale class of 2020. I majored in East Asian Studies with a focus on China. Yeah, hope that answers your question. What else do you guys want to know? I know this is particularly helpful for like, I was surprised, like Yale undergrads, there's actually, frankly, not that many of us. There's only 6,000 in total. So that's 1,500 per year, 1,200 to 1,500 per year. And a lot of students, especially international students that I've talked to, were like, yeah, we didn't have a single person from Egypt go to Yale last year. Or we had like 2 kids from Pakistan go to Yale. So I think that's really, really, I feel bad for you guys, honestly. I feel it's really hard. You don't get this opportunity. So you guys can feel free to like literally at me on Instagram. My Instagram is at KingKev98. You can email me. I'm pretty sure my phone number is attached to like my email. Don't text me. That's like a lot. But yeah, you can email me. You can ping me on Instagram. Of course, every single comment that you guys leave on any YouTube video, I will always respond to. If I haven't responded to it within like a day, roast me. Like I'm trying to be available to you guys. Is there a prove yourself mentality with Africans or other students of color at Yale? Ooh, this is a pretty tough question. I feel like it's a pretty loaded question. There's a sense of imposter syndrome, of course. And I think if you come from a low income POC background, it's tough. You have a chip on your shoulder in a sense. And the experiences that I found wealthy students at Yale live versus low income POC is just a world apart. Like during winter break, they are going on a cruise ship to Europe, right? That's to the south of France, and hanging out at a vineyard. And during like the breaks, I stayed at Yale and I worked on loading printers with paper, so I had spare cash to support my family. The sense of like proving yourself, I guess it wouldn't really depend on race. I think that even some of the wealthier kids have this edge of like wanting to prove themselves, right? Like you came from a big fish in a small pond and now you are like a small fish in an enormous pond at Yale. And everyone to some extent, I think, struggles a little bit with like proving yourself and that you're still someone like worthy of being at Yale. I think a lot of kids kind of struggle with that, or they're confused still. They don't have that confidence. Man, this is kind of a loaded question. Is there a prove yourself mentality? I can't definitively say yes or no. I guess my answer would be kind of, and it depends on the students for sure. Guys, if you've just joined, please don't forget to ask questions in the chat. This is your opportunity. Anything about Yale. And don't forget to sauce this video a like. It really helps with the algorithm. And also, guys, let me know in the comments, like, where are you guys tuning in from? Which city, state, country are you guys watching from? I love hearing about, like, I'm from California, I'm from India. That to me is like the coolest thing, because even if I just have 12 viewers right now, that's 12 more than I would have had like 3 months ago if I was just not doing this. So how much do mid-year report grades matter? As an international student taking the IB diploma program, will 1 B+ negatively affect my app for IBs? All my other grades are A's and A-. Jay Van Horn, I hate to tell you, like, it's over. You'll never get into an Ivy League college. No, of course, I'm kidding, guys. A B+ is not going to immediately destroy your chances. Like I'm taking a look at Jay's transcripts. Oops, there's a B+. We'll just go throw it away. Forget about it. You're not getting in. No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. So it really depends actually on the school. Like some schools don't send in mid-year reports at all. At all. It really depends on the school. At Exeter, for instance, they had trimester system. So we had fall semester and winter semester and spring trimester. So again, semester is 2 trimesters. So for us, like those 2 semesters really mattered, fall and winter. Spring didn't matter at all. I know some schools where they just look at the first semester. Like it depends. It just depends on your school's policy. I frankly don't know the answer to, I mean, let's say hypothetically, Jay, that they sent in your report. It doesn't really matter if you have 1 B+, everything else is A's and A-. They take a lot of things into consideration. They take into account the difficulty of the classes that you're doing. If you send in a deferral letter, you have updates and you explain like extenuating circumstances. I got a B+ because my aunt died of COVID and I had to take care of her, something like that, then of course that's totally excusable. So providing context, providing context helps. May, I feel like I'm getting a lot of new people today. Jay and May, I've never seen you guys before. I literally know all my subscribers. I know the top like 50 or 100. Okay. Did you find yourself gravitating towards people of the same social background, race, class, location, etc.? For sure. And actually, this was probably one of my least favorite things about Yale and college. I just think that this is true about colleges. Like there was a huge divide, like I said, between rich and poor Yale, as well as white and non-white Yale. The white spaces were so predominantly white, like 90%, or at least 80%, but something anywhere between the range of 80 and 95%. And I was kind of dismayed to see that. And yet, you know, I'm to blame as well. I was part of this problem. It's a self-selecting process. I think at that age, people just, it's a law of attraction. You want to find people who are close to you, proximity and similarity. So for me, I was hanging out with a lot of Chinese American kids. As it turns out, I was doing breakdancing, and all the break dancers were Asian males. Just, that's how it was. So I ended up living with them too. I got really close with them, and we had a lot of the same interests, whether that was anime, like same background, same passion. And so it was a lot easier to connect. I would say that if you're trying to combat this issue, and I've talked about this in the past before, one of the best things you can do is branch out by trying totally different clubs. For me, that was the Yale Model UN Taiwan team. And clearly the kids there were from totally different backgrounds and different parts of the world, different socioeconomic backgrounds, different experiences. And I thought that was really cool. So, you know, we had a kid from Brazil. We had Alina, one of my close friends from Amsterdam, from the Netherlands. Yeah, okay. And we had George from Taiwan. And just being able to hear people's stories there, I think that offered more opportunity for cross-pollination. Yeah. But it's like one of those things that if you don't fight it, it's very weird. Like you will naturally just start drifting into like groups that you've always found affinity to. And I thought that was rather interesting. I saw that too with like Asian people hung out with Asian people, white people hung out with white people, black people hung out with black people, unless you had like a very distinct, like you made a distinct effort to go hang out with a different group. I thought that was kind of sad. I'm not like, I wish it wasn't that like that. What's up, Karin? How's it going? Hi, Hannah. Guess always tuning in, my regulars. Oh, my heart is so warm. I'm touched. Were you on any aid? Yes, I was on full financial aid. I didn't pay a single dime, guys. Never paid anything for my education. I don't plan on paying for my education ever, unless like I am rolling in some fat dough, like Pillsbury Doughboy dough. Yeah, I mean, I was so broke that Yale essentially paid me to go there. So that's a good thing. Like, if you are on financial aid at a top college, top 20, I'll say top 10, any of the Ivies will just shower you with money. If your family basically makes less than, I'll say like 60, 70K a year, hardest for international students sometimes, because it depends on the school. Sometimes they're not need-based. And I just think that it's so much harder in terms of admissions. Like for context, I went to Phillips Exeter Academy. I know. But Exeter sends 10 kids a year to Yale. 10. Okay, that's more than some states in America. That's more than like North and South Dakota combined. And it's more than probably like Pakistan, India, and one other country like combined. That's just absurd. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted. Coming back to the aid, Kevin. I was given a ton of financial aid to the point where I didn't have to pay for anything. I paid for some of my textbooks and stuff, but I mean, that couldn't have been more than $1,000 per year. And my friend was also on full aid, and there's so many ways you can finagle it. Like there's aid and then there's aid. You know what I mean, guys? Like one of my friends, she was pirating textbooks left and right. She used this Borrow Direct library service and got all the textbooks in advance. And she picked out like her course syllabus for the next 2 or 3 years. So she knew what books she would need, and she got them used and basically saved hundreds of dollars, you know, if you're frugal and if you're thrifty. And then I have other friends who are on aid, but they just weren't as like, I don't know, they weren't as thrifty. And so like one of my friends took out credit card debt and bought like $1,000 computer. And I was like, no, dude, what are you doing? Like, you could have asked the head of college to buy you a computer or to buy you a winter coat or to buy you boots, and they would have, there's a fund for that. However, those kinds of things aren't really publicized in Ivy League colleges, and I don't think the resources and just the knowledge it's not so common. You have to talk to other kids who are on financial aid to figure that out. Other questions? Hassan, Sunny Bunny. Yeah, I recognize you guys. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you guys. Other questions? Please ask me other questions. You know, I'll keep talking about aid for a little bit. You know, one thing that wasn't publicized at Yale, I'll talk about this in another video about Yale and financial aid and whatever, is like, here's the thing. You could literally move. Are you still planning on proceeding to post-grad? Post-grad as in graduate school? Guys, I hate school. I hate it. Like, school is so dumb. I love learning, but I don't like school because I don't like assessments. Like, why are we taking tests to showcase our knowledge? It's created a system, especially like midterm finals. Oh, 50% of your grade is based off of this one test. Like, what do you think is going to happen, professor? Like, we're all going to cram, pull an all-nighter, vomit on the test, and immediately forget it. Is that learning? No. These days, like, I probably learned more out of Yale. I've read like 50 books since quarantine started, and I learned about trading options and, you know, media, YouTube, storytelling, camera equipment, like so many different kinds of things I've picked up. I love learning. I also think like school literally gets more useless the older you get. I think that probably the most important stuff I learned was in high school. That's because I went to Exeter and it was all discussion based and class was really intense. I learned a lot. Yale, didn't really learn much. Everything I learned at Yale, I could have taught myself in a library. Graduate school, don't even get me started. Like, you're basically teaching yourself at that point. You're doing a master's. Master's is just pay to win. What is it, like 30, 40K? So you have a little, it's just like a tool, that a little piece of paper that you can wave around and say, like, now pay me more if you go to an official employer. and business degrees too. I don't think they're as useful. That being said, there was this one program that I was applying for, the Schwarzman Scholars Program. That was pretty fire. That one's in Beijing at Tsinghua, and it's full scholarship, 1 year, newly built dorms, 3% acceptance rate. I applied when I was a senior at Yale, and I made it to the final interview round, but then I didn't make it. So I'm planning on reapplying. You know, I'm really interested in Chinese entrepreneurship, Chinese education. I was in East Asian Studies major after all. Okay, cool. What else do we got? How's my trading going? Guys. Oh, I have to tell you the funniest story, Karin. Where am I living right now? I am in Miami. Yeah, I'll answer the low-hanging fruit. How's my trading going? I mean, I bought like a crap ton of Tesla. 80% of my net worth is in Tesla. Guys, like I can't believe it. I feel so blessed because I learned all of this from YouTube. I bought Tesla stock. I think I own like 100 shares. That's a lot of shares. 100 shares at an average cost of 322. It's at like 900 now. So I literally just like slept on my butt, made YouTube videos and made money. I do some trading on the side too. You know, I trade options, nothing too crazy, just 3-month out options, 6-month out. If I'm like, oh, this is clearly oversold and undervalued, I think it's going to bounce back due to like some technical analysis that I've done. And I study that stuff pretty extensively. And it was pretty scary managing. Man, this is such a complicated topic. Long story short, it's going well. Now, I got to tell you guys this really funny story with feng shui. You guys know what feng shui is? It literally means like wind, water. It's a Chinese astrological concept. So my mom like feng shuied the crap out of our house. Like she put this money bag under the carpet next to our door. So like every time we leave the house, we're like stepping on the carpet, and then like it's supposed to give us luck. And she hung these like ribbons and decorations on the top of our door, so that it like blesses the entrance of the house. And then there's a fish tank. This is the most important part. It's the fish. Okay, the fish, literally part of the feng shui. So here we are. Like we had some fish and they died, which was unfortunate. So my mom and I went to PetSmart and we bought some new fish. We bought 4 fish. Guys, I literally poop you not. Like as soon as we bought these fish, my family must have collectively made like $20,000 in a week and a half. As soon as we dropped those fish in the fish tank. I think there's something going on here. So, but you know, 4 fish in Chinese, 4 is the word for death. So that's not good. We're thinking of getting 2 more fish, really pushing our luck here. I think, of course, the markets are due for correction. I thought the markets would fall considering all the hectic rioting and stuff that was going on at Capitol Hill. I was like, clearly they're going to fall. Nope. Market doesn't give a crap about politics or chaos. It just like kept on charging. So you do your thing, American S&P 500. You do your thing. Chicken Genius. Yes, Chicken Genius. Chicken Genius. Go Chicken Gang. Okay. Thoughts on Elon Musk becoming the richest man? I just think this is totally well-deserved. Like Elon, if you guys think about it, like why is someone so wealthy, right? Like the reason you're a billionaire is because you're solving billion-dollar problems. Energy battery storage is a billion-dollar problem. Bringing us to another planet to colonize is easily a billion, if not $1 trillion problem. If you can solve this problem, Elon, like of course you deserve this wealth. I have nothing else to say. Like this man is a true visionary. I think he's probably one of the 10 most influential beings of all time in the history of mankind. Like he's up there with Jesus. He's literally modern Jesus. I think he's bigger than Steve Jobs. Oh man, I could talk about this all day. Anyways, Chinese international students at Yale. In fact, I do know quite a few Chinese international students at Yale. Good friends of mine. Hey Shamu, new camera. Guys, don't forget to sauce this video a like. Wow, we have 21 viewers. I'm so excited. I'm getting all jazzed up. I had some coffee earlier, feeling good. What other questions did we have? SAT and PSAT advice. All right, that one's really quick. So I'll talk about SAT, PSAT advice. Your PSAT does not matter. Let me repeat this again. Your PSAT does not matter a single bit. It literally does not matter. Unless, for some specific reason, you have placed in the top 1% or the top 0.1% of PSAT and you can like write this really cool award. Other than that, it does not matter. It will not hurt you if you have a bad PSAT score. SAT and ACT, this is just one of like the biggest college myths of all time. Every Asian parent and their mom has always told us like you need a great SAT and PSAT score, spend the whole summer studying. No, guys, this is pure foolishness. It's pure hogwash. if you want to get a great SAT and PSAT score, take 10 practice tests. Set aside 2 months, or maybe like 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and take a practice test, 2 practice tests every week. These practice tests, by the way, are long, right? They're meant to be pretty difficult and mentally taxing. I think they'll take anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. Train yourself to be as close to the environment as possible. That's what I did, guys. Like I'm broke, right? At that point, I was broke. I'm not that broke anymore. Thank you to Tesla, base god Elon. But if you want to do well on your SAT, like literally take one of those SAT practice textbooks, buy it, run through all the practice tests. That's what I did. Like I wasn't doing that great on my test scores in the beginning. I think I got a 31 on my ACT out of 36, and then I took it again and I got a 35. The other thing you need to know is that as long as you're in the top 10%, that's all that matters. There's not a big difference between a 35 and a 33, or a 34 and a 32. I mean, it kind of depends. You just want to be in the top 10%. And of course, if you can do it on your first try, that looks impressive. But if it takes you 2 or 3 tries, that's fine. I will say that the SAT standardized test scores are a little bit, I think, more important for international students, just so that they can showcase like, hey, I'm familiar with these terms. I can prove that like I'm actually smart. I understand the system. It might give you a slight advantage there, but I wouldn't even place them in my top 5 factors. Recommendations, way more important. Essays, way more important. Leadership, extracurriculars, way more important. Like the grades, you can have a perfect SAT and still get rejected from Yale. Easy. Okay. Questions. How do I think international students applying for financial aid? I think this is so confusing. Like, I don't think you guys apply for aid. Well, you just fill out a form that says, this is how much my family makes. And then they will give you the aid. It's not like it's based off of your family's income. So that's not something that you can control. That's not something that you can change. So I don't know if I have to research this a bit more, but anyways, diagnostic test, Khan Academy, you can get 1,500 consistent. Yeah, that's it, guys. Listen to Jay. Jay knows what he's talking about. I need to come back to these 2 questions. Chinese international students, and how do I think college admissions will be affected? How can I get a good letter of recommendation when everything's online? That's tricky as well. Okay, let's start with how I think college admissions will be affected this year. Frankly, I don't think that they will be that affected. Like I've just been seeing people are getting spooked because there's so many applications rolling in. There's always going to be lots of applications rolling in. And there was this really interesting article about how, even though the acceptance rate is going down, that doesn't actually mean that college admissions is getting more selective. Let me repeat that. Just because the acceptance rate is going down does not mean that these colleges are getting more selective. Reason being, a lot more people who are never even qualified to attend these colleges are just throwing an application in just to say that they applied, right? Like kids with a 2.0 GPA, 3.0 GPA that don't have great extracurriculars, that don't have any national awards, international awards, that have never done summer programs, their essays aren't that good. So a lot of those kids are applying. Does that actually hurt your chances if you are still like in the top 10% academically and you know that you have like a solid profile? That doesn't really hurt your chances. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but essentially more of those kids are applying because there's easier access than before. But that doesn't, it's not actually quite getting that much more selective. In fact, a lot of these colleges are building new dorms. Like Yale built 2 new dorms and they accepted the largest freshman class of all time last year, right? Like people don't mention that. Princeton, same thing. They just built like 2 huge new dorms and then they take like 200 more freshmen. That's like a 20% increase, if not like a 10 to 15% increase. So that's something to think about. Chinese international students at Yale. Yeah, I had 2 close buddies. That was crazy, right? Like my high school sent 10 kids to Yale. The entire country of China sent 10 kids to Yale. And a lot of the Chinese international students come from international schools. It's so rare to see someone come from like the truly Chinese national system. And then they, like it's just so difficult. You guys got to think about barriers of entry. You got to study for the standardized tests, totally different, system from the Gaokao. You have to do like all these different hoops you have to jump through just to prepare. Now, those students who came to Yale from China were amazing. Like they were really cool. Really good friends of mine. And they weren't like fobby or anything, like fresh off the boat. I felt like a lot of them knew American culture. Maybe they had studied abroad before, but they were really smart. English abilities were awesome. They really impressed me. Frankly, I think like Chinese people are better students than American people, just no debate at all. The one thing I'll say is that international students, guys, like you really have the short end of the stick. Like I feel like half of you watching must be international. Like your life is so hard. Like I feel so bad for you. Like even when you graduate from college, by your second or third year, you have to apply to big companies in the US to get a visa. And they only hand out like 2 or 3 visas. And you have to compete against other amazing international students, not to mention domestic, Ivy League grads and stuff like that. Like that is just such a hard game to play. And so my friend at Yale, who was a Chinese international student, ended up taking like 1 gap semester to reapply for internships because he didn't get any his first time. Like I don't think people understand just how difficult it is to get a job out of Yale. Like you were competing against other Yale grads. It's so mind-bogglingly difficult. Anyways, he took gap semester. After gap semester, he took like another gap year just so he could reapply. And I know people who have stayed at Yale for like 5 years, 6 years, even like 6.5 years and delay their graduation because there's so many opportunities. Like you could take a year off and go study in Beijing for free, or Seoul, or Osaka, Japan, using a fellowship and do that twice. You could go to Japan for a year, do a fellowship. You could go to Korea for a year and end up just soaking money. They pay for everything, right? And instead of graduating in the class of 2020, like you were supposed to, winter of 2021 or the winter of 2022. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, honestly, maybe I should have stayed a year longer. I would have been chilling like a villain. Okay, other questions. Apart from Yale or Princeton, which college would I have attended? Guys, I would have been really happy with any of the colleges on my list. I think I would have really enjoyed like Vanderbilt. It's warm, partying culture. Stanford. Had I got in, I would have gone in a heartbeat, like no questions asked. Duke would have been fantastic. I would have been so happy there, especially with the sports culture. Like I wish I could do college again at a different college. Honestly, that would be so much fun. Or even some of the other like colleges, like Rice or Texas colleges, which I think would have been really cool. What other schools did I apply to? I applied to Georgetown. I heard Georgetown's not actually that fun. I was wrong. Vanderbilt is ranked as one of the happiest colleges in America. Georgetown is just, I heard it's kind of tough. Mental health atmosphere is not so great. I graduated from Exeter and I have a ton of friends who went to all these different colleges. And so we talk all the time. Or if I had gone to a California school, that would have been fun too. UCLA, Berkeley, Stanford. I think I would have been pretty happy at any of those schools. Just not somewhere cold. Like UMich, I would have died 100%. I would have graduated a frozen corpse. Okay. Man, other questions. Is it easy to get a single room at Yale? No, it's kind of random. I feel like I missed a question. Did I miss a question? Oh yeah. How can I get a good letter of recommendation when everything is online? I'll spend a few minutes on this one real quick. The trick is you just have to establish a real human relationship with your recommender. Right? Even if everything is online, if you ping your instructor every 2 weeks and you're like, hey, how can I improve my grade? Hey, I'm working on this. Hey, like this major assignment's coming up. Can we schedule a Zoom meeting to chat? And just see how you can go above and beyond, right? You have to think about it from their shoes, which is what can I do so that I impress my recommender so much that they write basically a letter that says like, this is one of the best students I have ever taught. In order to do that, you're going to have to act like one of the best students they've ever taught, right? And go above and beyond during COVID. In fact, you have probably less excuses now. Maybe before it would have been difficult to schedule a meeting. Now you literally just send a Zoom link or a Google Hangouts link or whatever. And you want to showcase that level of intellectual curiosity, proactivity, leadership development, personal growth, all that good stuff. What about liberal arts school? Guys, yeah, so Williams, Amherst, Swarthmore, top 3 liberal arts colleges in America. I think that those schools have a better education than Yale. No cap, straight up. There it is, mic drop. Like my friend at Williams, he was getting just absolutely just pummeled with school, dude. School was way harder than Yale. I was like, you just know where to run. The classes are so small. They're 10, 20 people. If you didn't do the homework, you're going to get called out. And overall, the campus is smaller too. Everyone knows each other. Sometimes they're in remote locations. So it's just way smaller of a place. Word travels faster. And that's like, you have to think about these things and how they'll affect your education as well. Because the campus is more isolated, because the campus is more closely knit, This means that it'll be easier to connect with your professors, connect with your peers, get letters of recommendation, higher quality of education overall. Like my friend was doing pre-med at Williams, and I just saw him get like absolutely just railed. It was just so hard. I was like, no way, dude. My college experience was not that hard. But he was like, yeah, this might have been harder than Exeter. But yeah, liberal arts colleges are pretty hard. Other colleges that are just quote unquote hard, Cornell's really hard. U Chicago is really hard. And Princeton is really hard. The other colleges are pretty easy. UPenn, easy. Brown, easy. Harvard, easy. Easy mode. Okay, what other questions do we have? Thoughts on Dartmouth? Dartmouth, summing up Dartmouth in 3 words. Heavy drinking culture. That's 3 words already. Okay, well, there's drinking. You know, what is it? Isn't there like mascot like a trash can? No, I don't think I have. Or it's a tree. Or is that Stanford? Anyways, Dartmouth is very isolated, really heavy frat culture. Like, I think it's really, really big there. It's cold. And yeah, I would just say the frat culture is really big. That's the one thing that I know about Dartmouth. They also operate on a trimester schedule, which is really cool. So that allows you to do internships in the winter where none of the other Ivy League kids can do it. So that's nice. You don't have to compete with them. But yeah, I mean, I was already in New Hampshire for 4 years. I was like, I've had enough of this. Any advice for dealing with people treating you differently after you get into a school like Yale? Yes, just don't tell them you're going to Yale. Like, I think most people who meet me don't know that I went to Yale. Like, I just seem like I don't really try to mention it. Obviously, I mention it on this channel all the time because I'm trying to get views and that sort of thing. I have mixed feelings about that. Even like if you found me on the street, I'm not just gonna be like, I went to Yale. Hello. Like I won't even mention it unless someone is asking specifically. And it's very surprising. Like, I don't think there's many Yale graduates in Miami. Like, straight up in the city of Miami, there must be like less than 50. It's kind of rare, so people don't really ask. That's another thing, guys. Your college, where you attend college, will affect where you work. A lot of people don't think about that. If you go to Stanford, it's like an 80% chance that you're going to work in California after you graduate, right? Same thing with Yale. If you graduate from Yale, 50% of Yale grads go work in New York, and Harvard too. They'll just stay in Boston or work in New York. So location is a really important factor that no one thinks about, but it's important. Yeah. What is the mental health culture like at Yale? UPenn's easy. Really, a friend of mine goes there and he's dying with the work. It depends on your major. Depends on your major. Like, pre-med is hard everywhere. Chemical engineering is hard everywhere. Like, doesn't matter if you're at UPenn or, a university in Asia. Like, it's going to be really hard. But I'm saying, generally speaking, if you are just taking economics at UPenn or you're just doing one major, guys, I mean, Yale can be hard if you want to make it hard. You want to be a neuroscience major or you want to double major in electrical and CS? Yeah, you're going to have a bit of a harder time. But I mean, like, even at Cornell, some of the quote unquote easier majors I think are still hard. And Princeton too, like overall averageness hard. Yeah. Would I choose a liberal arts college instead of Yale? No, I think I liked the city vibe of Yale. Liberal arts colleges tend to be a little bit too secluded for me and cold. Yeah, it's like 4 hours to the nearest city, that sort of thing. Like, I loved Yale. I visited New York every month because my sister is there. So we hung out a lot. That's the other thing. My sister, I was like living, I feel like I've lived America and college on cheat codes. Like, I went to Exeter, that's a cheat code. My sister is 13 years older than me and guided me, held my hand basically through the college admissions process. That was a cheat code as well. Questbridge was just starting out. That was another cheat code. Although then again, I don't know, maybe part of it is due to my proactivity. But I feel like I was really blessed. Like, how much of it was luck versus hard work? I think more than 50% was luck. Seriously. Like, I'm for some reason always at the right place at the right time. Oh, is that a matter of the individual choices that I make? It's like self-determination versus free will, right? Anyways. Are there daddy's money's kids at Yale? I'm not even going to answer that question. Of course there are. Yes. There are. Thanks for your videos. They're very reassuring in a time of college admissions anxiety. You're welcome, Farah. Yeah, I'm seeing some new names and faces. I recognize you guys, right? Like Hassan I've seen you before. Karin, of course, OG fan, Karin. And Lizzie, OG fan. And then I'm seeing some new kids as well. How is your experience applying to Exeter? My sister's applying there. Any help would be appreciated. Okay, whoa, lots of questions. Give me a second, guys. Let me drink some water and recuperate my thoughts. Oh my gosh, we're getting the question. So many questions now. Okay. What is the mental health culture like at Yale? I just think that like it used to be super duper suppressed. I'll start with Lizzie's question, which is a little bit at the top. And lots of people didn't really talk about mental health. It could always be better. It could pretty much always be better. But Yale does offer free mental health therapy sessions. It's annoying because you have to schedule them basically like 6 weeks in advance. They're always booked, but they're available. They're free. They're included in your Yale coverage, which is nice. I heard that they're pretty good. And it's just become like it's more on the radar. They created a whole new meditation and wellness center at Yale, which is pretty dope. I love meditating. Amazing. So at these colleges, it's definitely becoming more and more of a mainstream thing, which I think is wonderful. Yale has a big culture of complaining. Like people just complain a lot about stuff, which I think is kind of funny. But anyways, let's see. Have I answered what's New Haven like? Ooh, it's complicated, man. New Haven, Yale relations. To the extent that, of course, Yale gentrifies New Haven and is pushing out a lot of the locals who've lived there for decades and raising the cost of living. But then again, Yale supplies New Haven with a lot of great jobs. You know, even if you work in the dining hall at Yale, you could make $60,000 a year, and some people really enjoy it. And so some people think that like, you know, it's actually helping the city. But it's really complicated where like you're living in old campus. I was a freshman. And let me just share a brief anecdote, guys. And I would like look behind me through the window, and I would see like 3 homeless people sleeping on park benches in the freezing winter. And I would be like, this is like America's wealth inequality right here in a single picture frame. That really bothered me. Or I'd be like trying to sleep and there's just like ambulances, like always in the distant background, like almost every day. And that in the beginning, it was so alarming. And then afterwards, I just became conditioned. Like it just became normal. And I don't know, man, like I still have mixed vibes about that. Like Yale, the way that Yale is built, it's literally in the center of downtown New Haven. As basically like, you know, in a negative way, you could say it's kind of invaded that part. And in a more positive way, you can just say it kind of like coexists and commingles. But yeah, I mean, does Yale push out? I mean, it's complicated. How's the dating culture at Yale? How's the food at Yale? Food is great. Food is great. I've answered this question many times. I like the food a lot. Applying to Exeter, same thing, guys. If you apply to Exeter, apply to Yale, or apply to Tsinghua for a master's program. Like the essential principles are the same. At this point, I've applied to so many programs. The most important thing is I'm gonna write this down in the chat. Should I write it down? All right. But basically, you want to showcase these 5 like character traits. Personal growth in your application. How have you grown over time? Intellectual curiosity, leadership development, and sense of duty and selflessness, service. Oh man, what is the last one? I always forget. By the way, I made these up, so they're not like available online, but I forget the last one. It'll come back to me. But an application, a story that really combines all 4 of those traits just makes for like a really wonderful application. People want to see a protagonist come up story. That's what they want to hear. So yeah, showcasing that, your own unique identity, unique reflections and takeaways. That's kind of broad. Yeah, just DM me and I'll help you. Who asked that question? RE Films, yeah. Yale bubble. How badly would I have to screw up my senior grades to lose my Yale admission? You would need like C's and D's. Even if you get all B's, you're fine, Lizzie. Excuse me, you didn't answer my Yale and US question. Thanks for writing it down, Ari. Oh yeah, so let's talk about Yale and US. I don't really know that much about it. I know it's kind of new. I know it's kind of good. I kind of wish I had studied abroad in Singapore just so I had a sense of what it was like, but I don't have any thoughts about it. I just don't have that much information. I think one of these days, guys, I'm going to try to get together all the Yale YouTubers and see if I can do a little Yale YouTube mashup, Zoom sesh, and then you guys can ask us questions. I believe there's like 5 or 6 Yale YouTubers, which is a lot. Oh man, it'll come to me. Personal growth, intellectual curiosity, sense of service, selflessness, leadership development, and then there was one more. Do I think admissions standards have really changed in regards to AP exams? Your AP exams don't matter that much either. They don't really matter that much. What matters, guys, is context, right? If you go to like a school in South Dakota and you've taken 5 APs and your school offers 5, you look like a G. You look like you were very proactive, essentially. If you went to like Miami-Dade, if you went to Coral Reef, right? Coral Reef offers many, many IBs. Let's say they offer 20 and you only took like 6. What do you think, right? It doesn't look that great. So yeah. By the way, guys, don't forget to sauce this video a like if you're enjoying it. I just want to connect with you guys on an individual level. Hopefully you find these helpful. Seems like they've been really, really popular compared to a lot of the other questions, a lot of the other videos that I have. I just answered this question in the beginning, Lizzie, about political culture, but essentially Yale's like very much a liberal echo chamber is what I have discovered, which I don't think is a good thing. And I think that the kids are politically a little soft. Like, I don't know. I'm a libertarian, kind of. I'm just kind of like, you know, government, just let me do my own thing, stay out of my way. I think that the private sector is way more efficient than the public sector. Do I think the public sector is necessary? Yes, of course. Anyway, that's a long discussion. Other thing, guys, I want to publicize this flash fiction writing competition. Shout out to Lizzie for competing again, twice in a row. But yeah, I'm running a flash fiction competition, bit.ly/flash fiction Friday week 2. Check out my video, the playlist about flash fiction. I think that's the right link. Yep. Check out my playlist, the videos. Vote for your favorite stories. I'm trying to grow this. It's a very fledgling competition. It's like my baby, and I want it to be bigger and better, and you know, give you guys better prizes and make it more engaging and stuff like that. So check that out. My Flash Fiction Friday playlist. I don't know where it is. You guys can find it on my channel. I'm from Miami. Have I heard of American Heritage? Yes, I have. It's a great school. I think they send quite a few kids to really, really top colleges. Why did I start breakdancing? I started breakdancing to impress girls. True story. None of the girls were impressed. Later decided that it was just kind of more of a personal thing for me, and I really, really enjoy it. You check out my video about that as well. But yeah, I love breakdancing. I'm on a 365-day challenge that one of my buddies dragged me into. So I'm on day 107 at this point. And yeah, it's been great. It got really good. And my body has transformed a lot thanks to dancing for like 10 hours a week minimum. But yeah, I actually started breakdancing at Exeter, which is kind of crazy. The guy who taught me how to breakdance learned how to breakdance by volunteering at homeless shelters in Chicago. And he was Japanese, then he trained really hard in Tokyo, and then he came to Exeter, and then he taught me how to breakdance. It was kind of a wild story, wild tale. I'll save it for another time. Is it better to take an AP class where you'll get a B or a regular class you'll ace? It depends, Sunny Bunny. That's a really good question. That's actually a really, really great question. There's a skill, right? You want to balance your schedule. So maybe not, instead of taking like 5 APs, you take 4. Or but like, should you take 2 and then 3 honors classes? It's a sliding, does that make sense? So you have to balance your schedule, and maybe you want to make it look more intense as you go along. So sophomore year, you take like 1 or 2 APs. Junior year, you take like 3. Senior year, you take 5. Then you end up with 10. Or, you know, it also depends on your edge, right, guys? Like you don't have to take all APs. You don't have to take AP Spanish, AP Lit, AP Chem. Like, let's say you're focused and you're applying to tech schools. You don't need to take AP Lit. You don't need to take AP Push or AP Gov. Just focus and really drill down on your STEM competitive advantage. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean, where I think like a lot of people aren't approaching the college admissions process strategically. You don't need to excel in every subject. You can be like, look, I took easier humanities. I'm not great at it. Tried it out. Here's really what I want to hone in on, and this is my focus. This is what I want to major in. In fact, those hours that I could have been spent studying for the AP US History exam, I spent building this 3D printer. Of course, what do you think is more impressive, right? Like that, I think, is much more powerful. Okay. Thoughts on NYU? NYU is cool. Depends on what you major in. I think it's really overpriced. It's really expensive. I think it's the most expensive school in the States. I have friends who attended there. It's great for the arts. Great if you want to hang out in the city, that sort of thing. I don't have any real thoughts on it. I think it's very much pay to win. Is that like, if people have this appeal of like living in the city, it's not as glamorous as you think. Everything's expensive. It's smelly. I don't like New York. That's just me. Okay. sorry if this question is random, but I feel like it's nearly impossible to get into top tier schools without research or national or international level awards. What do you think? Yes, it is pretty hard. I won't say it's impossible, but it's really, really, really hard to do it without a national or international level award. So if you like, you guys should be thinking about that even freshman, sophomore year. That is it. That's probably one of the biggest cheat codes. A lot of students, like, should you spend your time trying to get 2 points higher on your SAT, or should you spend those several hours applying to national awards? Again, it's an economics game in the sense that you guys need to think about, like, where would it be best to allocate my time? What's the extracurricular culture like at Yale? You don't have to be Mozart to join a club about pianos. Long story short, no. I mean, there are things that you can pick up without having done it before. If you want to try drama, if you want to try sketch comedy, things like that, or even you've never sang before and you want to try singing for a cappella, go for it, right? You'll find out at the tryouts how good you are. Do you think if I'm messed up a bit senior year, I got 3 Bs, took a really hard course, that hurts. That's tough. I don't know if people are going to be more lenient because of COVID. I don't know, guys. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but it's not ideal. Like, I think senior fall grades matter the most out of all of your grades. Senior fall grades, or first semester senior year grades, then junior year, then junior spring actually, then junior fall, and then sophomore year. Some colleges don't even look at freshman year. So what do I think of MIT? MIT is great. Yeah, MIT is lit. The party culture is amazing. MIT used to have the #1 suicide rate in the country, and then they totally transformed the school. I heard the parties are just amazing. Like, it's a huge party school. That's from what I hear. Let's see. Other questions. Thoughts on Yale and US? I don't have many thoughts, Farah, because I don't know much about the program. Thoughts on Brown Video Portfolio? I know nothing about the Brown Video Portfolio. Sorry. What do you think NYU's expect? Okay. Does it look weird if you've intended major, but you had taken hard STEM math science classes? So when you guys apply as an intended major, you need to have some sort of track record or evidence to back it up. You can't just say, like, I want to study anthropology, and none of your academic courses have anything to do with it. None of your extracurriculars have anything to do with it. None of your work experience or volunteer experience has anything to do with it. Of course, that's going to raise some eyebrows. Entrepreneurship at Yale compared to other top Ivies. Entrepreneurship at Yale is poo-poo. It's not that great. I take that back. I shouldn't say poo-poo. That's mean. I'll say that it's a budding program. It wasn't very highly emphasized until recently, I would say last 5 years. And since then, if you guys have heard of Alibaba, right? There's this Yale alum, Joe Tsai, who worked on Alibaba, I think was a late co-founder. And so he is bloated and built this new entrepreneurship center. It's getting bigger and better. The one thing that entrepreneurs need is a successful entrepreneur to mentor them. Yale actually doesn't have that many people who went from idea on a napkin to prototyping to scale. The most important thing is an exit, right? You need to sell your company or go public. And that's very rare. I don't know many Yale alums who have done that. And then the number of Yale alums and actual, like, legitimate entrepreneurs who want to stay and teach in New Haven. New Haven is just not that ideal of a city for entrepreneurs. So that's why the program is suffering. If you go to a school like NYU, they have way more entrepreneurs in New York, obviously, way more entrepreneurs in Austin, way more entrepreneurs in Stanford, that area. I think Harvard and MIT have a really strong startup culture. Even Cornell has a pretty good one, although they do more like venture capital kind of stuff. And of course, Stanford is really big. But yeah, some of the other Ivies, I haven't heard too much about entrepreneurship at like UPenn or Dartmouth or whatever. MIT is a party school. Yeah, truly. Yeah, seriously, huge parties. 2 international awards, but they aren't necessarily contributing to the theme of my application. That's fine. An international award is still an international award. It's going to help you. There's no way it can hurt. There's literally no way it can hurt. How important are semester grades? Which semester grades? You're going to have to be a little bit more specific, Sunny Bunny. Okay. Any other final questions? A lot of college-related questions. Rivalries amongst the Ivies. I mean, not really. Harvard-Yale is a rivalry. I think Princeton-Penn is a rivalry. I don't even know who Brown's rival is. It's not taking that seriously. I don't know what the Regeneron STS competition is, guys. Sorry. Have I seen anyone famous at Yale? Yeah, there's a lot of guest speakers who come. Hillary Clinton was there. John Kerry was there. President Bush. Yale alums. Other, sometimes I think there were some famous comedians who showed up. Stuff like that. So there's always interesting people around. First semester grade with a B+, all other A's. Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it, Jay. How did I adjust from the cold, Victor? Well, I spent 4 years in Exeter, New Hampshire. That was way more cold than New Haven. But I died, dude. There's such a thing as seasonal depression. My therapist was like, yo, you should get a happy lamp. I was like, what the hell is a happy lamp? And they're like, it's one of those warm lamps that is so bright you can get like vitamin D from it. I was like, what? No. Like, guys, I was so unused to the cold that my body would not wake up at normal times, like 8 a.m. Like I would have to sleep until 11 because there wasn't enough sunlight out. I didn't realize it was morning. And I missed a lot of classes during high school because of that. It was, especially during my first year. Of course you get used to it. It was hard. It was hard. I don't want to live in the north anymore. It's brick. It's freezing cold, dude. It's just walk outside and your private parts like shrivel up. It's horrible. I want to live in Texas. Okay. If I had the choice, what school would you use? Or schools? What choice of schools would you use? I'm kind of confused. How can we compensate for national competitions being canceled? This is what I say. Like the best thing you can do is start an independent project. Like write a textbook, distribute it to 100 kids in your area. Like that sounds really impressive, even though you technically don't win an award. However, if you did that and you got featured by a local news channel, that still kind of counts as an award. That's like probably one of the best things you could do. If you were really driven, you could do something like that in a week. A versus A minus. It depends on your school. It kind of depends on, I don't know. I don't know if I can really answer A versus A minus versus B plus, Jay. Is there a big class divide at Yale? Yes, I think so. I can talk more about that in another video. Again, Lizzie, I mentioned it at the start of this video, so you can scroll back and check that. I might go back and watch this video and then add little timestamps so people know like what topics I talk about. How would I approach a deferral letter if I haven't done anything major academically? You guys can talk about things that happen in your personal life or extracurricular. Like if someone got hurt and you had to pick up a job to support your family, that should be mentioned in your deferral letter. And you're like, look, I got a B+ because my aunt lost her job, my dad lost his job, and so I had to tutor online 30 hours a week. Of course, that's going to impact my grades. So that should be mentioned in a deferral letter. Am I excited for 1K? Guys, I'm honestly kind of frustrated. I was like, I feel like I should have hit 1K already. But 1K is a big achievement. Most YouTube accounts never ever hit 1,000 subs, ever. I would say an overwhelming majority. So this is kind of a big deal. But I don't think the channel is going to be real serious until it hits 10K. But thanks for joining and hanging out with me. I had this new idea, guys. Really, really interesting. Maybe a year down the road or maybe during the summer. But I wanted to teach you guys like the entire Yale East Asian Studies major, like the entire major, probably 100 hours of lectures, all online on YouTube for free. I don't know if you guys would be interested in that, but it sounds kind of exciting, like a little passion research project. I would teach you guys like all 12 credits, which would probably be, now that I think about it, each credit must be at least 30 to 50 hours. So that's a lot of content, but I think it would be cool. Sorry, oh no, it's Lizzie. Dude, it's fine. Guys, don't worry. Tips for staying chill before decisions in a few months. Yeah, I can feel this anxious energy from the seniors, guys. The way I think about it is it's kind of like the weather, right? At this point, you can't control the weather. There's nothing we can do. All right, I guess there's terraforming, but nothing we can do individually to control the weather. What we can do is, let's say a hurricane is coming. We can prepare to buy things in advance for the hurricane, and we can react to the hurricane. That's kind of like the way you should be thinking about college admissions. You've already done the preparation, by the way. So all you can do is control your reaction, if that makes sense. Like there's going to be several possibilities. You either get into one school, you get into some schools, all your schools, no schools. What is your plan? And how are you going to mentally prepare yourself for each of those possibilities, right? So the other thing is to think about it more down the road as well. Like I had a friend who literally went to college for free in UF. He saved tens of thousands of dollars and arguably will make more than me as a firefighter. And he's just absolutely crushing it. There's so many ways to win, guys. And college is not the end all be all. And, you know, even if you do nothing each day, you're going to get one closer to the result. Just breathe. Yeah. And also it's normal to feel anxious, right? Like I'm not going to say, don't feel anxious. Don't be nervous. I don't think that's like helpful advice. Okay. What other questions do we have? Well, oh no, froze. Oh, okay. Best college advice channel. Oh, Kevin, can you make some lifestyle vlogs? Yeah, I'll make some lifestyle vlogs when I go visit Brazil. It's gonna be really cute, guys. My girlfriend's amazing. She was like valedictorian of her college in Brazil. Was like literally the smartest person out of a 6,000 person public university. Speaks like 5 languages. She's worked at Disney. She's is the partner of her little startup. She helps people apply for jobs at the United Nations. That is her job. She's a year older than me. She's like a real big shot. I'm clearly like, we all know who wear this pants in this relationship. But yeah, I'll be making more fun style vlogs because we want to do this challenge where she comes up with a list of like the 50 most Brazilian things that I need to do. And I'll come up with a list of like the 50 most American things that she needs to do, like watch this movie, try this food, visit this landmark. And, you know, maybe we'll make a channel together. She's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. I majored in East Asian studies at Yale. I worked with the senator. Okay, let's see. How you go? Were your architecture friends at Yale? Oh my gosh, we're getting so many questions. Do you think it's harder for seniors this year? A lot more apps. Test is optional. I answered this question earlier in the live stream, but long story short, I don't think it's all that much different compared to a few years ago. How were your architecture friends at Yale? I work with the architecture friends? I don't know. Wait, maybe Nadinia, can you explain this question a little bit more? Admissions officers can see semester grades with the final grade from the class. As long as my final grades are A's, would I be fine? I'm confused about like what final grade versus semester grade means. I don't even really know what that means. I'm kind of confused. Lifestyle vlogs, conferences. Should I send another update? Guys, just send one update. They're going to get really mad if you send multiple updates. They won't even read them. Like you get to send one update and that is all. Apply early or nah? Yes, always apply early. Do you know if you apply early to Cornell, your chances are literally like 1 in 4. It's a 25% acceptance rate early. If you apply to Yale, it's a 15% acceptance rate. That's like, or 12%. It's like 1 in 8. That's like so high. If you apply to 8 schools, oh, you can't apply to 8 schools early, but you know, expected value wise, you would get into 1. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to Brazil on February 18th. By the way, guys, use the bit.ly/botherkevin link. I'm still available for meetings, especially because bit.ly/botherkevin20. I'm still available for meetings. Like, I'm happy to talk to you. I'm sorry, Nadinda. I'm so sorry. I slaughtered that name. Okay. Yeah, feel free to meet with me, guys. Like, I'm literally here at your disposal. Yale grad. Like, oh man, I got to rant about this. I'm actually kind of pissed because I had all these seniors schedule meetings with me last week and half of them bailed. I'm actually like so sad. You guys understand that my time is worth $100 an hour? Like that's how much I charge to edit college apps and tutor. And people don't show up for a 20-minute meeting. That's like $35 down the drain. That's so sad and despicable. Not only that, it's just like straight up disrespectful. If you're gonna not show up, just email me. Like I can't believe it. I'm like so shook. So if you guys are showing up, double check the time zone, all that good stuff, and then just show up. Like I can't believe how people mess up these simple facts. Ah, man. Anyways, further plans for ZenEd, EdTech industry, super duper high potential, dude. EdTech is gonna blast off in the next 10 years. Recruited athletes are considered early. They're even earlier than early, Jerry. You can get recruited for an Ivy League school in sophomore year, junior year. It's a totally different process. Yeah, you can schedule another meeting, Daniel. That's fine. But yeah, by the way, I won't be available in like early and mid-February because I'm going to Disney and traveling to Brazil. So I'll be back in late February and early March. Plans for ZenEd. ZenEd is fine. You know, I make most of my money during the summer. I make tutor about like 12 to 15 hours a week. It's pretty chill. I want to continue doing that for like 2 or 3 years, and then I'll probably wrap things up. But mainly, I'm playing chess here, guys. The reason I created Zen Ed was to control my income, so I can choose how much I pay myself, which will consequently affect how much taxes I pay, right? And considering like how much I'm trading and things like that, that allows me to save a lot more money. No, think about it. My mom was telling me, Kevin, like you have this option. If quarantine hadn't hit, if COVID-19 hadn't hit, you would be in New York right now working your butt off for this real estate startup where they pay you. My buddy's real estate startup. I would have been working easily 7 days a week, making 65 grand a year. You know, take home is like 40 grand. Then living in New York, I don't even want to get started. But thanks to quarantine, I made 40 grand tutoring during summer, which I've turned into 115 in 6 months. So it was truly a blessing in disguise. Like the way I thought about myself is like, Kevin, you are a protagonist. You are Harry Potter. You are Deku from My Hero Academia. Like this, I know this part of the story. This is the part where things get really hard. This is your training arc. This is your 1 year time skip. So that's the way I approached like quarantine. It's ridiculous. Okay. How did they take the workload? Dude, architecture, I don't know how they took the workload. Architecture students, you can tell because they're just perpetually exhausted and they have bags under their eyes. They look like medical students. So that is that's tough. Do I think interviews matter? Yeah, architecture is so hard. There's only like 12 architecture majors at Yale, I want to say. Less than 30 for sure. Super duper hard. Like they live in the studio. You never see them because they're always in the architecture school. That being said, like I think it's a really cool major. And there's there's tracks at Yale. There's an urban studies track and there's another one. But yeah, urban design, like I love that. Designing a city to make it more energy efficient and transportation systems and all that kind of stuff. I think that's the future for sure. That's really cool. Do I think interviews matter? Yes, interviews matter. Interviews do matter. What are the best majors at Yale? Classic Yale majors: econ, poli-sci, political science, psychology, global affairs, ethics, politics, and economics are all really popular majors. There's some of the more niche majors which are very good but not popular. Architecture, hard, not popular. Chemical engineering, hard, not popular. Neuroscience, hard, not popular. East Asian studies, easy, not popular. Easy, mildly popular. There's a new amazing major, guys, at Yale. If you're juniors and watching this, I would really recommend applying for the computing and the arts major, and also the statistics and data science major. Those are the two up and coming rising majors. I think they're going to prepare you best for like the next 10 years of tech development. I love those are really, really cool. Yeah, computing and the arts and statistics and data science, or we call it SNDS. How long can you make like passive income like your tutor thing? Well, my tutor thing is not passive income, right? Passive income is you make money while you sleep. Tutoring is quite literally the opposite. It's active income. So yeah. What's the most important part of the application process? Getting in, Ava. Duh. I'm kidding. No, I know Ava from my previous tutoring. The most important part of the college application process is probably your grades. Your grades matter a lot, and then your essays and recommendations. Altogether, those three things will easily dominate your app more than 50%, or maybe even more than 60%. Sociology at Yale is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, all the humanities at Yale are strong. Anthro, socio, pretty cool. Unique Yale traditions. Unique Yale tradition. Secret societies, very unique Yale tradition. And then there's like little groups in Yale and they have more unique traditions. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but then I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 2 or 3 minutes. Biologic? Yeah, I'll be right back. Oh, I need to pee. I'm back. Is the chat going wild? Okay, let's see. Are the res colleges overrated or underrated? Yale is the one that focuses the most on leadership. Can you elaborate on why that is so? Yeah, that's right, Jay. I don't know. It's just part of the Yale culture. Like a lot of people, my favorite Yale joke, you could write this in your application, is like you put 10 Yaleys in a cave and they'll start 16 clubs. It's like my favorite Yale joke. People love being in charge. They're just always on snooping around and starting up to some shenanigans. Pineapple on pizza, yes. It's a resounding yes. I love Hawaiian pizza with the pineapple and ham, but that's just me. Okay, Zen Ed. Question about Zen Ed long-term plans. My plan is to retire by 30. Yes. And become a stay-at-home dad and write fiction novels. That's part of my plan. I also want to travel. Like I have like this crazy YouTube strategy where I almost like I'm so interested in storytelling and travel and education, where one of my long-term plans, guys, is to travel to different parts of the world, the best schools. Go to the African Leadership Institute, we'll go to Tsinghua, we'll go to conservatories in Europe and try to take the best education methods from every institution and create a new online 21st century model for education. I think like that is easily something I could dedicate 50 years of my life to. Think about that. Like you guys go to school and the classroom looks the same as it was as in 1880. That's not right. Like phones don't look the same as they were 30 years ago. That's just tomfoolery. That's ridiculous. Hogwash. So I have this vision, right? Like, by the way, like a Yale education, like I said, I can teach you everything I learned at Yale on YouTube in a series of 100 hours of lectures. And if I gave you the right text to read, you could follow along. It's not that complicated. Why are we paying $200,000 for that? It's just not worth it. It's so prohibitive to the vast majority of human beings on this earth. So that's a problem that I want to solve. Once I'm financially secure, I'm actually kind of getting there pretty quickly, a lot faster than I thought. But yeah, once I can, it's kind of like that situation where you want to put your mask on before you help others. Like once I'm secure and I feel good about that, then I will help others to the full capacity. There are a lot of snakes in college. I think there are some snakes in college, not too many. Can we work together in the education thing? You're reading my mind. Yeah, we can work together. Yeah, you guys are welcome. I'm happy to help. Like education for me transformed everything. I went from cooking fried rice in a Chinese restaurant to like charging $100 an hour for writing, all thanks to my education. It was truly remarkable. You know what? I might wrap things up and I'll tell you guys this one final anecdote, very motivating anecdote. And I want to make a video, which is like, definition of financially secure, like 250 grand. It depends on how old you are, because if I have 250 grand now versus 250 grand at 40 years old, right? Like you have to consider time and money are kind of, obviously they're correlated. If I put that money in the market and allowed it to appreciate, then it's way different. So I would say financially secure would probably be around like, I plan to become a millionaire before I'm 30. So according to that projections, if I hit like 250 by 25, it's somewhere around the 250 to 500 range. At that point, like I don't have to work. Like I could literally live off of 3% of my passive income in Brazil, where rent is like my living cost would be less than 10K a year. That's pretty absurd. Anyway, at any rate, the Yale starting clubs. Yeah, I won't forget about the anecdote. Yeah, so if you put 10 Yaleys in a cave, they'll start 16 clubs. That's a fact. Can you tell that some advice? Guys, I just made a video about my Yale regrets and then my Yale memories. So I'll be talking about that another time. Okay, so final anecdote before I dip. My camera's dying, battery. Hope you guys enjoyed the new quality. Thank you to my subscribers who have sponsored this camera, actually. Okay, so if you guys think about it, like why do we struggle to study? Why is it so hard to motivate ourselves to study at some points in time? And another way of phrasing this is I studied really hard. Like I studied my butt off in high school, and then I kind of lost that drive in college. Part of the reason is because the way I think about it is like you guys need a really compelling reason why you want to study. If you're studying because of someone else's expectation, or you're studying, like, that's just not going to cut it. The way to think about it is try to come up with an emotional, you need to tie your emotions to this reason, and it has to be personal. Like one of the most powerful things that my dad told me, I have a story from both my dad and my mom, so I guess it's like a double anecdote. We'll start with my dad, where my dad was like, he literally grew up in the generation where he didn't eat food for a month so that he could buy a backpack to store his books. It was crazy. And he was like, we had one library in the town and you couldn't check out books for more than like a few days. So what I would do is I would check out a book and I would read it all in one night under the covers using like a flashlight, and like I destroyed my vision. And then I would sneak it back into the library the next day. And I think about this man who was just so hungry for education and like how like literally so desperate to study. And I was like, man, like not putting in my all to study in high school is just like straight up disrespectful. Like my dad works 16 hours in the kitchen so that I can study. That's it. That's all, you know, like studying is a privilege. It's not, you guys don't think of it as something given to you. It's really like a privilege. I think putting in that perspective was really powerful. Another story was my mom's dad, who was really hyper intellectual, one of the smartest people in China. Like literally at that time, he was one of the first students from China to go study in Japan as a foreign exchange student. And he majored in chemical engineering. So then he came back to China and he set up like all kinds of chemical plants. It was like a real big shot. He basically ran like the second or third biggest fertilizer company in China during like the 50s or 60s. Now this man was locked up and arrested during the Cultural Revolution, and they put him in jail. They literally came into the house, just arrested him. Nobody knew where he went. It took months to find him and locate him in prison. At this point, my mom found him and he was like shriveled up, you know, like a little raisin. And everyone around him, you could hear them being like beaten and tortured. And my grandpa said he saw like the guards pulling corpses. Like they threw in intellectuals and pulled out corpses. They didn't even kill them. The intellectuals hung themselves in prison and killed themselves. And basically my mom was like bringing him food so he would survive because they didn't really feed him well in prison. And my grandpa was like, I will never commit suicide, like no matter what they do to me. And he told my mom, like, they can take everything that I have. They can take like my belongings. They can take my money. They can take the clothes off my back, but they will never, ever take like the knowledge I've accumulated. Dude, I'm like literally getting emotional, like shivers throughout my story, shivers throughout my body listening to that story. Like I thought about that. I literally thought about that story when I was studying nephrons in the kidney at 3 a.m. on my 4th cup of coffee. And I was like, I still have like 60 more pages to go. And I thought about my dad kneeling in the Chinese restaurant. That's probably where he was at 3 a.m., you know, like kneading rice in between his fingers. I was like, I can't give up now. Not after everything that like has happened for me to be here. Me being at like an educational institution is in and of itself a miraculous stroke of luck, you know, like lightning striking a certain point in time, a certain place at a certain point in time. That's the way I thought about it. So that's why we don't study hard enough. I think a whole other story about how I got to Yale and stopped studying. That was different. Like I was so burnt out mentally. Anyways, I'll leave you guys with that. All right, guys. That wraps up today's live stream. Was that recording? There's no reactions in the chat. Something wrong? All right. I will end the chat. Yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Keep your eyes tuned for following videos, and I will catch you guys next week. Peace. Constantly rooting for you. Your success is my success. Take it easy, guys. Ciao, ciao.